Hello, everyone, and welcome to ScoreVision Advantage, a podcast where we share the latest happenings in sports tech and fan engagement. I'm your host, Ashley Peterson, Marketing Director here at ScoreVision. In today's episode, we are joined by longtime customer and friend Jeff Bissen, the Athletic Director at Glenwood High School in Southwestern Iowa. We had the pleasure to speak with Jeff about how he continues to rally the community around Glenwood's athletic program, and listen to his advice on how small businesses have played an important role in building a strong sense of pride in the community. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Welcome in, Jeff. To get things started off, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your history in athletics, and your history with Glenwood?
Yeah, thanks for having me on today. Excited to be here. So I'm originally from Erling, Iowa. I'm a 2004 Harlan Community graduate. From there, I went on to play college basketball at Buena Vista. I got a business education degree. Always wanted to be in education or in athletics, and really that's been my whole life, probably growing up. Just enjoyed the athletics standpoint. And then from Buena Vista, I went to Northwest Missouri State, did a graduate assistantship down there with Coach McCollum and the men's basketball team for 2 years. And then after that was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was either going to coach college basketball or get into education and be a teacher and coach. And one day I wanted to be an AD. So the Dean of Students job is open at Glenwood following my time at Northwest. I was fortunate to get that in the summer of 2011, 12. And then after a year being a Dean of Students, our AD job came open there. So I've been in Glenwood since the summer of 2011 and been working in athletics here for the last 11 years. So very, very fortunate to have the job I do and the job I have, and I really enjoy working in athletics.
Well, I know firsthand that Glenwood is awesome because we went and visited you guys this winter for a basketball game. It was a very exciting time. Can you just tell us a little bit maybe about your athletic program? Like, how big is the school? Do you have a lot of students participating in sports? What's kind of like the overall consensus of what the community feels like at Glenwood?
Yep. So Glenwood is a town of just over probably 5,500 people, 15 minutes south of downtown Omaha and Council Bluffs. So we think we have the best of both worlds in that we're a small town, yet we're close to the city, so we can experience both of those. The school itself, just under 600 kids at the high school. So with that, 75% probably of our kids are involved in some sport, some sort of activity or sport, which we really try to sell because research will show you the more involved you are in activities or something, the better off your attendance is at school, better off your grades are. You stay out of trouble more, all that stuff. So we really try to provide opportunities for kids to be involved. And then our goal is to try and have kids have the best possible experience in those activities. And certainly we want to be as competitive as we can across the board. So that's kind of Glenwood, I guess, in a nutshell.
Yeah. Your guys' students always seem on fire. When we were there this last time, I know meeting Zach Kelsey specifically was really fun. He was one of your students that was creating content.
Yep.
Okay, well, I also kind of want to know a little bit, too, about how much it's changed and grown, and how did you guys stumble upon ScoreVision? Because earlier when we were talking, you said you guys got ScoreVision in 2019, right?
Yep, the summer of, yep.
So how did you guys find ScoreVision, and what has that growth projection looked like for your community? Do you feel like it's a growing community? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I went to my first National Athletic Directors Conference in 2018 in Phoenix, and we walked in the big conference room where all these vendors were, and ScoreVision had this huge board up, and everyone's like, man, that thing's huge, whatever, and then everyone's like, well, it costs whatever it costs at the time, and it was kind of like, oh, it's a lot of money, never going to happen. Fast forward maybe a month or two after that, I run into a booster in town who's been to a lot of youth facilities and seen your scoreboards and your TVs to where you keep score, and it's like, that is so clear and so easy to see. Like, hey, you're looking into a new video board. Have you thought about this product or something that they do? And at the time, I'm like, well, I just saw them in Phoenix. It costs a lot of money, but maybe that's something we can look into. And from that, I met with the sales rep with ScoreVision at the time. Worked with, we had Daktronics at the time, video board in our gym. We were one of the first back in 2009, 10, 11 to have a video board in an Iowa gym. And so fast forward 10, 11 years, that thing's now extinct for the most part because it's that old. And so that's where we were at. We were in the process of trying to find something new, which is when I came across ScoreVision. Ultimately, we decided on ScoreVision. And the one thing I tell people is, for us, the fan app that went with ScoreVision was kind of before everyone was live streaming everything. And so it was one way for our people across the country who were Ram fans to keep up with what was going on. And so the fan app really sold me on on going ScoreVision because it was different than any other competitor you had out there. But now that we have it, it's about the game experience we're able to provide for our kids and for our community. And able to tie our community all back into what we're doing from a sponsorship standpoint. So that's been really good for us. I got a really good team who does a lot of good stuff. Zach Kelsey's been great for creating a lot of content. We had a former graduate who unfortunately passed away through COVID there, but he did a lot of really good stuff for us, kind of put us on the map in terms of what we were doing. And then Chris Visser is kind of my right-hand man who does a lot of our stuff. So we wouldn't be where we're at today without all those guys having a hand in what we're doing, but we're super fortunate to have it. We continue to try to be the best in what we're trying to do, and we're always trying to create new stuff for not only for our kids, but anyone who steps in our gyms and watches some of those games.
Yeah. So, okay, I have to touch on this because you kind of brought it up when you said, the first experience that you had when you went to the national conference, you saw the board and you thought it was awesome and great, but you knew it was going to cost a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
So how did you guys kind of overcome that? Because I honestly feel like we get that a lot. And we also find that a lot of our athletic directors really struggle with an annual subscription. Like that just feels like a lot that they have to go through. So how did you guys kind of navigate making that decision and deciding like this is worth the purchase?
Yep. Yeah, well, we were in the process of either buying a new video board and putting that up on the wall and keeping our scoreboards we had, or eliminating the video board altogether and getting 2 new scoreboards, which is the ScoreVision product itself. And so the cost wasn't that much different in terms of doing all that. It was just a change for us in that we had actual scoreboards. And so in looking at those costs and trying to figure that out, that was a challenge, but we had 3 boosters that had helped us get our first video board up. And so I went to those people to start with and had those conversations, and they were on board with making some of that stuff happen up front. Our booster club was on board with trying to make that happen. And I really thought we could sell sponsorships each year to pay this thing off. And that's really what we've been able to do. We started small with your guys' template of selling some sponsorships, and maybe in the 30, 40, 50,000 to where now we're up to just over $100,000 a year of revenue coming back just on sponsorships of being able to sell advertising for our scoreboard. So do I enjoy the annual fee that we pay? No one wants to pay any money, right? But
right.
The way I look at it is whatever cost that is so beneficial because everything's being updated and your software is being updated. So it's well worth what you're paying. Whereas if you put something else up on your board, maybe that you can't update as you go, it has a life expectancy of only so long before it's outdated. And so we got the 4mm or 6mm pixel boards, and they're great, and advertising that goes with it. I really tell people it's a web browser up there. I mean, so anything you see on the internet, anything you watch on YouTube, Huddle, we can do it. And so we've been able to do a lot of cool things with videos for games. We have our 25-year homecoming reunion class coming up. They want to do a video for their speech rather than having someone talk. They want to do a video that we're going to be able to do in our gym. We've done some stuff with graduation over the years. COVID, we used it a little more with everything going on with that. So it's just the possibilities of what you can do when you have what I call a web browser on your wall is really good.
Yeah.
And we had some pep rallies after COVID when we finally got people back, and we watched some hype videos and did some stuff in our pep rally. And that was really good. So yeah, unlimited opportunities and possibilities to do it. Yeah, is the sticker price maybe a little shocking for some up front? Sure. But if you're willing and committed to going out there and trying to bring your community back in to make some money, I truly think you can do it.
Do you feel like overall doing that, getting sponsors involved that are local businesses, and then in addition to that, using the system for more than just sports, do you feel like that's impacted the community of Glenwood?
Yeah, I think it ties everything together. Like if you come watch a game or an event in Glenwood, whether it be activities, homecoming, graduation, anything else that's going on, or a sporting event itself, and you see those sponsors rotating on that panoramic ad every 7 to 10 seconds, like there's probably some pride in some people that they see their name up there. There's also some competitive and some others that want to make sure my name is up there, right? And so we started small with that, and slowly people are like, hey, how do I get my name up there? What's it cost to do that? And so it kind of sells itself. But there is some work in trying to go out and find some people to put it on there. But the board, in my opinion, will sell itself over time. And not only will you pay off your board, but you'll prepare yourself for your next board when you need to, and also have money to go back to your kids and programs, which will benefit them.
Yeah. What about your students? Do you feel like the overall pride of your school and how your students have gotten engaged, do you feel like that's benefited a lot from just updating the technology of your facility?
Yeah, a really good story to share. We're 2 sets into our volleyball game against Carroll Kemper a couple of years ago. Chris coaches football, and so he's like, hey, you're in charge until I get there. I'm like, I don't really want to hit a bunch of buttons because I'm not comfortable with doing that, and I'm afraid I'm going to lose something when in reality you're not. But that's where I was, and so it was kind of dead through that first 2 sets, and he comes in and then starts pushing buttons during timeouts and in between sets and all that stuff. And we come back and we end up winning in 5, but the atmosphere just completely changed with music going on, different hype stuff being up on the board for timeouts and different things like that, to where it's just a different atmosphere. And so I go back to that when I talk to people about ScoreVision or about anything we're doing, in that anytime you add music to an event, anytime your kids' pictures are up on the boards, anytime your fans or student bodies have a reason to cheer, that keeps them engaged with what's going on. And so I think that's been great for us. We're probably spoiled in that regard, because sometimes when we go on the road and don't have that, our kids are like, it's dead in here. It's quiet. I'm like,
I'm bored.
Yeah, we're just fortunate to have that. And now some other schools in our conference are doing the same thing. And I think it's different, and it's good, and it's a positive for all our people. But it helps our kids be engaged with what they're doing. We have some interactive don't sing that videos, to where if you sing, you lose. And so they're common songs
fun.
Where everyone sings it and they all lose, but it's music. It gives them an opportunity to get involved. We've just been able to create some really good stuff for people to be involved. We have a little hat shuffle, to where you got to find where the ball's at underneath, and it spins through things, and then after 15 seconds, where's the ball at? Kind of the same things you see at Creighton basketball or hockey or whatever that is. And so we tried to steal or take as many ideas from others and recreate our own, which is really interactive for our students and our fans and anyone in our gym. So
yeah, that's fun. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody doing the don't sing that one.
Yeah.
That's really fun. I'm gonna steal that for
there
a
you
blog.
go.
I hope you don't mind.
Take it, yeah. Take it.
Okay, well, cool. So tell us a little bit too about obviously you're creating all this content, and there is a little bit that goes behind the scenes in order to create an experience like that, right? I mean, you can't just do it on your own.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that kind of have to contribute to that. Actually, I shouldn't say a lot of people, because it really only takes maybe 5, if even. You guys have Zach and Chris. Is anybody else?
Yeah, Zach just graduated, so I'm still utilizing as much as I can while he goes off to Iowa State. We got a couple other kids.
Oh man, bye Zach.
Right, got a couple other kids that are interested in the designing and some of that stuff that goes with it. So we're trying to utilize that. We've probably done a bad job at getting this incorporated into our curriculum, which is a goal or job that I need to get on and make happen here in short time, just so we can get more kids involved, have them take some ownership, free up Chris or myself's time a little bit, and then keep adding to what we're doing. So
is Chris full time?
Well, he teaches full time, and then he's gets paid a little stipend to do a bunch of stuff. So
okay.
Really for us, it's a sports media day in each sport, and then you're creating your player cards, and you're doing as much videos as you want of the player introductions and stuff like that. And then any other content you add on top of that is beneficial. So for me, it's been, hey, we're going to play music in between. Let's make that music Glenwood oriented. So whether our G is just jumping up and down or we're doing some other different things with something Glenwood related.
I forgot that you guys did
tie
that.
Let's tie that into that because we're going to play music anyway. So let's make it our brand as well and do something fun with it. And so that's kind of been our challenge of 30-second timeout, 60-second timeout. We have that much time to do something. Let's do something with that time so it's not just still dead air in there.
I always loved seeing your guys' content, but I totally forgot about like the jumping G.
Yeah.
I keep looking at Evan, our producer, because I just keep thinking about when we first watched that. I was like, wow, that's slick. That was cool. Well, that's cool that you guys are going to start trying to get your students more involved. I think that that's always a great win for everybody. I think, have you guys looked at ScoreVision Academy at all?
David's sent us some of that and just haven't pulled the trigger on. On
I mean, it is a lot.
Making that all happen.
Yeah,
so.
You do kind of have to like dissect it, but it is nice. Like if you already have a graphic design class or anything around those lines that anybody's teaching, I mean, you can kind of slide bits and pieces of it into there. But I do think it really helps our students because I know when I was in school, there was nothing really like that. And on the side, I do a little bit of photography. And then in addition, now that I'm in marketing, I mean, I constantly am working with our graphic designer, with our producer to produce content all the time. And I think like my skills would have benefited a lot from having that at a younger age.
Right.
So,
well, I think the one thing we don't do enough is give our kids ownership of what they do. There's so many talented kids out there, but sometimes we don't know that, or we don't know who they are. And so we try to make public social media posts and put in our announcements and all that to let kids know, like, hey, we're looking for people that are interested in designing your own thing. Or we subscribe to things that have pre-made templates. So it's plug and play with pictures and information where it creates a graphic. And so it's easy, in my opinion. But if you want to design your own through Canva, Photoshop, and all that other stuff, you can simply do that too. So that would be my one recommendation to anyone is like, hey, utilize your kids, find out who they are because they want to be involved and they're super talented.
They're out there.
So let's not work any harder than we have to. Let's use our kids, and then they get the ownership and the praise of the great stuff that they create. And who knows? We had a kid a couple of years ago went on to Kansas. He was on their Kansas graphics media team, and now just got hired by them for a full-time job moving forward. So he just took his talents to another level. Kept working on it, kept giving back to us, and now he's got a full-time job, loving what he's doing. So we like to think we helped his portfolio to share with other people
100%.
Because of what he was willing and able to do for us. So it was a win-win there.
Spoiler alert, Evan might have to cut this out of the podcast. I don't know for sure, but I really think that that's a great point to talk on because ScoreVision University is like a side thing that we're still working on developing, but we've been working with Hastings College to create a more like collegiate level boot camp, if you will, where Hastings College will be actually hosting a boot camp for ScoreVision Academy students that are at the high school level. And part of the reason why they looked into that was because they wanted to start feeding their sports media program and they needed students and they use ScoreVision. And so they're like, can we just tap into the high school students that are already using ScoreVision?
Right.
What a great opportunity. Like that opens up the door for those students to get college level experience. They get a degree out of it. If they do the boot camp, like, I don't know, maybe there's a certification that comes out of it. Maybe there's a little bit of a, what's the term I'm looking for? Graduation. Scholarship. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
A scholarship that comes out of this. So you never really know what it's going to turn into for your high school students. And I think that allowing them those opportunities, I mean, sports is an industry. It's not just about the people on the field or the people on the court.
Yep.
There's so many people behind the scenes making it happen. We just don't talk about that enough because I think it's been something that's been kind of like in the back burner for so long. And now it's becoming so much more prevalent. And I'd say like that, not to put it in there, but that's like one of the only benefits of NIL is like now you're seeing where like these athletes want that extra promotion. And so like we are putting a little bit more emphasis now on the creators that are creating that content for that athlete to get out there.
Yep.
Okay. So
well, we live in a digital world to where everything is about likes and retweets and quotes and all that other stuff, right?
Do you guys have social?
Right or wrong, but that's just who we are. And so these kids who make this stuff, the more it's retweeted and posted, the more people see it and they enjoy what they do. And then their competitiveness is always trying to beat their last graphic that they made. And so I think it all ties back into what we're trying to do, and we're trying to promote our kids, and kids are trying to promote themselves and do all that. And
Right. And promote your school too.
Right. Yeah.
Do you guys have social media? You do.
Yep. Yeah.
Are you on Instagram?
We just started Instagram here probably this summer. We're big on Facebook and Twitter and trying to keep up
Twitter's
with it.
huge in
trying to keep up with
athletics.
everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was told a while ago by Scott Jarvis, you probably heard it from someone else, but it's like, hey, if you're not telling your story, then someone else is, which is so true, because we have a newspaper that goes out once a week. Okay, so if I'm not telling our story of what's happening, they might read it in the newspaper. They might not. They might make up their own story, whatever they want it to be. But I have a platform to be able to tell the great story of what's happening within Glenwood athletics, Glenwood activities, with our staff, with our schools, and all that. And so you don't know anything about Glenwood, but you follow us. And so I'm going to hit you with a lot of good information, because I'm going to tell it rather than letting someone else tell you about it that might not know it. And so I've always came back to that quote, like, hey, that's really good. Like, you're in charge of your platform.
Every AD better listen to that, because it's good advice.
Right.
Seriously. I can't even tell you how many programs that we've ran into where they don't have like any social media. And honestly, it doesn't benefit your kids either if you're not on your platforms. Like, I think we underestimate the power of social in athletics.
Right.
Okay, well, I also wanted to tap in a little bit. I know you guys are trying to grow and expand your experience a little bit further eventually. What are like the next line items for you? I mean, you already talked on getting more students involved. Is there anything else that you guys are doing? It doesn't just have to be ScoreVision related, but just like in general, new technology or just new exciting things that you're trying to implement in your program to benefit everyone involved.
Yeah, the curriculum and the involvement with kids would be probably step number one in terms of what we're trying to do. We're looking into some esports stuff with our kids, the gaming clubs and stuff like that, to figure out, can we do that? What's it take to do it? Who can supervise it? What kind of money do we have to run it? There's a lot more schools getting involved with that on the Iowa side, to where it's more competitive and they're actually playing games and they're going back and forth with each other, which is really good. So I think that's a way to tap into kids and get them involved. We're always looking to create more stuff from a digital standpoint, not just for activities in athletics, but also for our school and the stuff we're doing. And so for me, it's just finding those kids who want to do stuff and then letting them run and say, hey, let's promote our school. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, I'm going to give that up to you and let you do that. Our next step from a ScoreVision or a video board standpoint would probably be getting into our outdoor board. We spent some money on a weight room instead of probably going with an outdoor board. And so maybe our next big purchase will be looking at an outdoor board and seeing how we can tie that back into the things we're currently doing right now, what we have in our gym, and what that looks like outside as well.
Do you have any advice for anybody who's making big decisions like that, like you are right now? I mean, like, you go through a series of decisions, small and big, each day. Every athletic director does. Most of us do, just in general in our human lives. But how are you weighing, like, what you need to be doing to grow your athletic department? And, like, what's helped you kind of make those decisions? And maybe who also has helped you make some of those decisions along the way?
Yeah, just we had talked about going with an outdoor board a while ago, and we had a lot of quotes and stuff to do that. And then someone's like, hey, how many people is that going to impact? Yeah, it's going to impact our teams who play out there. It's going to impact the people who come to the game and all that, which to me is the fun stuff. But our weight room was in need of maybe expanding and getting some newer equipment and stuff like that, which we thought was a bigger impact for the greater amount of kids. And so we went that way based on that being a better decision for the greater amount of kids. And so to me, any decision we make at school is all about the safety of kids, what's best for kids, what's best for our community, what's best for all that. And so sometimes we blur those lines, or parents don't like that because it might not impact them, but we're trying to do what's best for kids. We don't probably always do it right, but that's really the focus of our decisions, what we're trying to do. I don't know if I answered your whole question there.
No, you did.
Okay.
You definitely did. And I think that that's always an athletic director's goal, or at least it should be.
Yeah.
If you're not putting your kids first, what are you doing?
Right. And for me, like, hey, having a big picture of what you want to accomplish, what is your ultimate big vision and what you're trying to do? And then that's what you're trying to get to, right? But how are we going to get there and having those steps? And so someone today may say, I can't find $100,000 or $125,000 for a board.
Right.
Okay. Can you raise money towards it? Can you pay back the bank? Can you pay back your booster club? Can you get it and then find ways to sponsor it and move it forward? And that would be my challenge for anyone. Like, I didn't think I could do it either. And now I did it. And now it's paying for itself in 1 year, 2 years. And now I have all this money that we can spend back on our kids, and we can plan for another board, or we can plan for an outdoor board, or whatever that looks like. And so just because someone tells you no doesn't mean it's done. Like, let's find a way to come up with other ways to make it happen. And
Right.
so I don't like the word no. You know, if I have a vision for something that I want to do, I'm
Me neither.
I'm going to try and find a way to navigate my way through it to eventually get there, so we can accomplish it if it's truly best for kids.
Yeah, I think that having a vision, having a clear vision too, is so important. And probably like the strategy behind that too, of just like figuring out what are the next steps and how can we get there. And do you guys do a lot of visioning sessions, or do you like reconvene once a year and you sit down and you think like, what's the goal for this year?
Yeah, our district does our academic stuff and admin team and all that stuff. From an athletic standpoint, I kind of got my core group of people that we work with, and we sit down with our graphics and marketing team kind of in the summer, like, hey, we really got to focus on this. Here's some big games coming up. What are some things that we could do to highlight that game? ScoreVision's coming back in January. What can we do to highlight this game? You know, anything like that, to where it's not last minute. We're just trying to come up with a lot of different ideas and have a plan, I guess, for what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, last question before we wrap up. As an athletic director, what advice would you give other athletic directors who are really looking to build this sense of community that you guys have at Glenwood, that you've perfected and done so well over the last few years?
Yeah, I would say to people, it's a partnership. And so it's truly working with your businesses to, one, you want their support and maybe their financial support to help what you're trying to do, but also you want to be able to promote them and make it a partnership. A partnership only works if both people are happy. And so when we do renewals each year and I'm asking for a renewal of money, like, hey, was it worth your money last year? Do we need to do something different? Can we do it better? Do we need to change something? And so certainly, yeah, we want their money, but also I don't want to be the guy who's just wanting their money, not giving anything back. And so I want to make that a partnership to where it works for both ends, and it's positive. So for small schools or bigger schools or whatever, it's getting to know your people. It's tying your community back into everything that you're doing. For Glenwood, 5,500 people, high school sporting event, that's the best thing going on in town, or the only entertainment. And so how do we tie that into everything else we're trying to do? And so that's what we try to sell our businesses and our kids on to, like, hey, we're the best thing in town going on. For $6, you can come watch our kids compete in a high school football game and all the other things that go with it. And so then how can I capitalize on the money and the sponsorship and the advertising that goes with our games? So that would be my advice, probably, to
I think that's
babies.
great advice. Getting your community around you and just having that support, whether it's local businesses or it's parents or whoever it is in your community, is huge. Because I always tell people that I feel like when you give back to your fans too, they sort of give back to you.
Right.
And that exchange of like having that experience and how it impacts your athletes. I mean, your athletes want to perform, and people are driven to perform when more people are watching.
Right.
So attendance is huge, and having that atmosphere is huge. So, well, I love what you guys are doing at Glenwood. I'm so glad we got to have you on the podcast. So thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.